Morning, dear students. Today, let us see the poem by Matthew Arnold, Dover Beach. First, let us see the age of the poet, that is, the period during which he lived. He is a Victorian poet. Victorian age was an age of doubt and philosophic ferment. By ferment, we mean developments. There were conflicting views on man, his world, his life, predicament, and mission. There were various trends like optimism, pessimism, skepticism, agnosticism, Epicureanism, hedonism, etc. This was all because old beliefs were disproved by science. New creeds were yet to crystallize. It was an age of groping towards reality. Man was in doubt. All these trends are reflected in literature. Now let us turn to the poet. Matthew Arnold was a poet, critic, thinker, philosopher, and he was a representative poet of the age, its doubt and disillusion. His expert diagnosis of the age was enshrined in the famous quotation, "We are throbbing between two worlds, the one dead and the other powerless to be born." The age of religion is gone. The age of scientific belief is yet to dawn. So we were in an interregnum, an interval with no faith. Many have become half believers of casual creeds. See, people who lack faith, they are ready to believe anything. And there were so many quacks ready to offer solutions to human problems, and people accepted them half heartedly. And all this made Mr. Arnold a melancholy person. He was reflective by nature, highly philosophic in his mental bent. And his poetry is marked by a moral tone and high seriousness. Now we come to the poem. Dover Beach is a blend of suggestive description and reflections on life and faith. It is a definitive statement on the uncertainty of life, of man's isolation, his loneliness, and individual responsibility to himself and to the world and to his maker. The color scheme and the sedate rhythm, the simple diction reflect Arnold's attitude to poetry and the world. However, the syntax is slightly involved, and so too is the imagery. Now we come to the structure of the poem and the locale of the poem, that is, the setting of the poem. The poem may be divided into 4 stanzas of unequal length. There is no definite rhyme scheme, but there are beauties, phonic beauties, in abundance. First stanza contains 14 lines, stanza 2, 6 lines, stanza 3, 8 lines, and stanza 4, 9 lines. The setting of the poem is the beach of Dover, famous for its chalk cliffs. The corresponding French town is Calais. Now we analyze the poem. Stanza 1, line to 5, 1 to 5. The sea is calm tonight. The tide is full and the moon lights fair upon the straits. On the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. The cliffs of England stand glimmering and vast out in a tranquil bay. This is a description which is marked by light and shade, and it describes the moonlit seaside scene on the shores of the English Channel. The English Channel divides England and France. The play of light and shade is portrayed with the skill of a landscape painter. The poet focuses on brightness and darkness, which are major symbols in the poem. The embrace of land and sea and the quietness of the scene, but for the sound of the waves, is also emphasized. Now we pass on to stanza 1, lines 6 to 14. Come to the window, sweet is the night air, only from the long line of spray, where the sea meets the moon-blanched land. Listen, you hear the grating roar of pebbles, with the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand. Begin and cease and then again begin, with tremulous cadence slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. The last two lines, that is lines 13 and 14, strike the keynote of the poem. Line 6, begins with an imperative. The poet invites someone to come to the window, and he comments, the night air is sweet. From the seashore comes the sound of the waves in their ebb and flow. They keep their rhythm and produce foam. The poet describes the sound as a tremulous cadence slow. That is, it is in a shaking voice, and it's a slower voice. No fast speech is there. The eternal note of sadness is brought in by the waves. The eternal means unending. Human misery is endless. The sea is producing a mournful music to unhalt. Sophocles, long ago, heard it on the Aegean, and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. Sophocles was a great tragedian, and he heard the same waves standing on the shores of the Aegean Sea, the sea near Greece. And he was able to understand that the waves of the sea are representative of human misery, which is unending, the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. Man has a miserable lot in this world. And he was able to see it in the Aegean Sea. Arnold also hears the same voice of the sea standing on the shores of England, the English Channel, and it brings to him a sorrowful thought. The sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. But now I only hear its melancholy roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind, down the vast edges drear and the naked shingles of the world. Arnold is reminded of the ebbing away of the sea of faith. Once it lay like a bright girdle protecting the earth. People were protected by faith. They believed that life was worth living. They believed that there was a God above. But now that it is shaken. The night wind of rationality and scientific temper has taken away our old beliefs. They have not been able to give us any other beliefs to sustain us. So we are now defenseless, and the world stands naked before God. The shore stands exposed. All the roughness is seen. The sureness is gone. Now we pass on to stanza 4. Ah, love, let us be true to one another. For the world, which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. And we are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. This stanza embodies Arnold's melancholy about human life. It begins with a prayer to someone addressed as love. In this world, we have to keep faith with each one another. Loyalty, personal loyalty, and mutual fidelity are the only protection against this uncertain world. The world appears safe and beautiful. Arnold lavishes many adjectives on the beauty of the world, the apparent security, but it is full of uncertainties and insecurities. We have lost our moorings. In the battle of life, we are like ignorant armies that clash by night. We are swept by contradictory instructions. Some people want us to fly, some people want us to fight. What is to be done, we don't know. Now, let us conclude the lesson. The poem is representative of all the features of Arnold's poetry. It embodies Arnold's reading of the intellectual and spiritual unease of his times. The images of the girdle and the battlefield crystallize the modern predicament. The girdle has deserted us. It no more fits us. We are faithless. And the battlefield is one in which we don't know what to fight for or the reason for our fighting. We don't know which direction to take. We are given contradictory instructions. All these symbolize the modern predicament. We stand defenseless in an uncertain world. The pictorial suggestions, color combinations, and the rhythm reinforce the theme, and the poem is a very fine orchestration of the eternal sorrow in human life. Man doesn't know why he came into this world, how he should live, and where he goes after death. Thank you.